Cloud. Okay. Connecting to cloud. Okay, perfect. Okay, you guys. Welcome to the first ever virtual Freezer Meal Workshop. I'm Sherry Fredericks, and I'm delighted you are here. And we may have a special guest, Jane Neighbor. If you see her pop in, I know we have more people that might be popping in. And the reason I'm recording it is I know there's people that can't participate. But what I was saying to a couple of people is I've wanted to do this virtual workshop even before COVID hit, because I thought, oh my gosh, these women are grocery shopping and they're bringing all this stuff to their friend's house, which is fun. But then they got to take it all back. So I think this is going to be super fun. And as you know, you all ordered or will be ordering the new multi-cooker 10 meal kit recipe. And we're going to do 5. Honestly, I don't think I could do 10. I think I'd be sick of hearing myself talk. But I'm going to walk you through these 5 recipes, and it's the prep week A. So I hope you've printed this out. And what I told you on the page is, and it looks like Jane Neighbor is here in a spirit, perhaps, Jane, is there's no prep work really involved. Although, because I'm presenting, I did cut up my carrots and celery, and I realized I didn't get sliced mushrooms. So I did a little bit of that, but really I want to make it easy for our clients. So again, oh, and then hopefully you printed out the grocery list that tells you what to get. I'm going to set this aside because I don't want it to get dirty. That's what I tell my people. And then I also tell my people to print out, I mean, actually I give it to them, but what I'll be doing going forward is basically using a Facebook page like I did with all of you. And then they can print it out at work or at home, and then they can stuff this recipe, you know, in that bag. Because I don't know about you guys, so you might use another bag, but does it ever happen to you? I go, where the heck did that recipe book go? Maybe you guys are more organized than me, but sometimes I can't find it. And if I have my kids or someone take it or make it, then that recipe is right there. So I think that's really, really important. Okay, so I'm gonna walk you through our wonderful 5 recipes. Does anybody have any? Okay, and if you don't have any questions, you maybe want to put your phone on or yourself on mute, just reading it is nice for the other people. But if you're not on mute or if you have a question, this can be interactive, you guys. So please feel free to shout out. So one other thing I do want to point out, raise your hand. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to just any of you have these little green things, Andrea does? Yeah, they're really helpful for Twyla does. But I also have told people, one of you told me, just tell them to grab like a pitcher, because it's nice to be hands-free and out of a bowl, but you know, you can use a pitcher and that way you can dump your stuff in. I'm lucky enough to have these, and if I were, when I do this, I know you can get them on Amazon. I think you can get them through Tastefully Simple now too. I always have people ask if they can buy it for me when at my Freezer Meal workshops, is I'll just put the link on Amazon. Obviously I don't get anything off of it, but if they really want to get in the hang of doing this, it is really nice. Okay, so we're gonna start with recipe, the bacon pepper meatloaf with baked potatoes. We're not doing the baked potatoes, but we're gonna get this meatloaf ready. So I labeled some of my bags. I don't know if you did that. So let's get started. Anybody else using this little green thing? Twyla, are you?
Yeah, I'm using them.
Yeah. Okay, and of course I washed my hands before I started. Okay, so add to bag with meat and mixture. So first of all, if you didn't do the prep work, which I did not do, I'm gonna add 1 pound of lean ground beef and 1 pound of ground pork. So I've got this, and I'm gonna add that to the bag. Did anybody just do all hamburger?
I used to, but then I realized that it makes really good meatloaf to put the pork in.
No,
So now I always put pork in.
Yeah, it is good that way, isn't it? Especially with our wonderful seasonings. Okay, so I'm gonna dump this in. Yum, yum, yum. And The only bad thing about, I gotta wash my hands. I participated in this online freezer meal workshop because I always like to learn from different people. I wouldn't say this to clients, but she had put everything together and put the meat in at the end. And then she didn't have to wash her hands all the time. So, and I guess that's the reason Tastefully Simple has you do the prep ahead of time, isn't it? So they don't have to wash their hands. But my thought is they're in their kitchen, they can wash their hands and they don't have to, prep ahead of time and take double the amount of time. Okay, add to bag. 1 cup grated Parmesan cheese. So go ahead and do that. What does panko bread? Anybody know what that means? What does panko? I know what that means.
I believe panko is just the brand of breadcrumb. I could be wrong. I don't know. I
No,
just
it's,
use this.
It's
Is
not.
it a thicker? It's thicker too, isn't it?
It's-
Like not as
Yeah, it's
fine.
thicker, so it gets
Yeah.
crispy if you were to coat something with it.
Okay.
They're
So,
Japanese breadcrumbs.
Did anybody just buy plain breadcrumbs? Like I did?
In meatloaf, it makes no difference.
I use saltine crackers.
Yeah. Yeah, I use that. Okay, so, but you could do that as well. So 1/2 cup of the plain panko breadcrumbs, 1/2 cup of pepper jam. Okay, could that be any better? I'm gonna just eyeball that one out. And then 2 eggs. Because the rest of this bacon pepper jam we're gonna use, I think, as the coating. That goes in a separate bag. 2 eggs. Is anybody ahead of me? 2 eggs, and then are you cooking your eggs? What are you doing?
I am mixing.
Okay, you just put it. I'm just gonna put it in there. And I'm gonna mix it up. 2 onions. I purposefully opened my new product because I want to see after making my next 5 how much product I have left. So people ask you that when they do a freezer meal workshop. It's like, how much am I going to have left? So I don't know what you guys are doing, but that's what I'm going to do. Okay, 1.5 teaspoon of the seasoned pepper. So you can buy the duo. When you buy this, I just did someone do that today. One of my friends. When you buy the seasoned salt and the seasoned pepper, does anybody know how much you save? $1. So even though I don't think it's in the catalog, you can still promote it on your online parties. It's the duo, again, the seasoned pepper and the seasoned salt. Okay, so Sheila, did you take this and did you mix it around? Is that what, mix it up?
I put it in a mixing bowl.
Oh my God.
And I'm using my hands. That's the only way to do it.
If you have a mixer that has a dough hook, anytime you make meatloaf, I put it in my KitchenAid with my dough hook and mix it that way.
That's a really good idea.
Oh, that is a good idea. I'm just doing it this way, like Twyla's doing, or Andrew. Andrew, what are you doing? You're just doing that, yeah. I kind of wish I would have done like Michelle and Sheila, because man, it's that mixing. I mean, it's kind of mixing, but it's not as mixing as well as I'd like it.
Just set it
Will it
aside
be
and
What, Sheila?
I said just set it aside and do it later before you put it in the freezer.
Oh, you're so smart. Okay, so I'm gonna set that aside, and I'm gonna take the remaining bacon pepper jam and put it. Looks like labeled quart-size freezer bag. So you've got that. Hopefully you have your Sharpie out. Bacon
Have you
pepper
guys
jam.
made this meatloaf before?
I have not. Have you? You haven't either?
Yeah, it was in a former Freezer Meal Workshop. It's so, so good.
Thank you for sharing that. Anything with bacon pepper in it is good.
Right.
So I'm now adding the bacon pepper to my little 1 quart thing. And then put that inside another bag. Are you guys ahead of me? Or are you still doing that? Do you have people at your workshops that are just like super fast and you have other people that aren't so fast? Does that ever happen to you?
Yes, all the time.
Like there's always
I always tell them right away that it's not a race, it's not a contest to see who gets done first.
I feel like everyone is faster than me always. So we'll see how it goes if I do one of these.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do, did any of the rest of you print out the recipe?
No.
Anybody? No? Okay. I like
Sure.
cake as much as possible at my house. So what I'm gonna do is, and it really doesn't matter, I mean, I'll do that later, but I'm taking that big old bag of protein and that in my recipe, and then I'm just gonna grab an extra bag, and I'm gonna, do any of you guys do this and then put it in that other bag?
Yeah, that's what we do. I've done that for a long time where we put it in a second bag with the recipe and then it doesn't, the label, we used to label them and they all fell off. So when you get to your freezer, you couldn't find them. So now with the recipes, it stays. So you have it when you get ready to do it.
I agree, and that's Twyla talking. I was like, who is that talking? Very good tip. So, yeah, I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's my favorite way because again, sometimes I can't cut the book. So I love that. So we are 1 down and 4 to go. How are you guys doing?
Looks so fancy when you do it, Sherry.
Why not?
I'll get it down.
The body short ribs. Do you guys love ribs? Anybody?
I'll
Pomegranate
probably
Napoli
like
sauce.
these ribs.
Pomegranate Napoli sauce is amazing on ribs. But okay, so we're gonna place your ribs in the bed. I haven't already done that. Right, isn't that what it says? Yeah. And then you're gonna season your ribs with the 2 teaspoons of seasoned pepper. I don't know if we're not even using the 2 sauces on this rotation. What are you guys' favorite ribs? I don't even know if I got the right thing.
I got
You
the
like your
boneless ones.
I got the boneless ones.
Boneless. I got the boneless ones too, but boneless beef short rib.
Me too. Yep.
Okay. Jane, are you with us? Jane Neighbor, let's unmute. I love good ribs, so I'm really excited for this. Okay. Now, can you guys see doing this with your clients?
I am definitely trying
Yeah.
to find some hosts.
I think it's such a good way to offer wonderful customer service. Okay, so we're gonna season our ribs with 2 teaspoons of seasoned pepper. You know,
Sherry, yes, I am here.
pardon?
Sherry, this is Jane. I am here. I couldn't figure out how to get myself off mute.
Oh, I can see you, but I mean, it's like you're a photo of you, Jane.
Yes, I know. I'm in my car.
Okay. Well, we're glad you're here.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So now we're gonna move, and if you want to say anything, feel free to jump in. But let's season those ribs a little bit. That yummy seasoned pepper. I love that. And then we're gonna move to another, you're gonna take a quart-sized bag, grab your, and I want you to label it Bayou Short Rib Step 2A. And then you're gonna add your baby carrots, your celery, and an onion, a tablespoon of onion. I'm assuming you all have your instructions in front of you. I'm just so stoked to have these in my freezer. I think I'm gonna use the crock pot. Any of you guys gonna do Instapot?
Nope, I don't have one. I'll use the slow cooker.
Yeah. I have one, but I'm still kind of scared of it. Which
I
is
have
really-
one, but I like to do it on slow cooking setting anyway.
Yeah.
It
I'm
scares me
Instant
when
Pot
it-
all the way, Sherry.
What's that?
This is Jane. I'm Instant Pot all the way.
Oh my God.
Me too.
How do you make the meatloaf in a Instant Pot?
The instructions for it are right in the recipe, but you put a rack in the bottom and pour some water in, and then you pack your meatloaf mixture into a pan that fits inside your Instant Pot, or you can do it in foil, and then you just lower that in and cook it up, and it's delicious.
Do you have to have a special rack for those?
My Instant Pot came with a little rack that goes in the bottom, so you just put that in there. If yours didn't come with a rack, you can just wad up balls of tin foil and set those in the bottom so that your pan sits off the water that you're going to pour down there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I was wondering how I was gonna work that.
And you know what, you guys, I was wrong. We're gonna use the Bayou bourbon. We're gonna freeze it. And I know I've had some people say, why are you freezing it? Why don't you just leave it in your freezer, your fridge? Well, sometimes people might use it up, and then when you're ready, you don't have it. And the other thing is, again, if you're delegating to a loved one, it's all right there. You know what I mean? So there's a method to the madness here. So definitely do that. Are you guys on that step on Bayou Short Rib, step 2B and 3? Are you guys ahead of me?
Just now.
Bayou Short Rib. Step 2. Well, I think you, honestly, I think you know what it is, but so 3/4 of a cup. And perhaps some of you are still chopping your celery and carrots, which is just fine. 3/4 of a cup. Hey, where are you driving to? Home?
Yes, I am driving to home. I'm almost there.
Oh my gosh, girlfriend. Oh, I forget how young Bayou bourbon smells. Isn't it just the best? This recipe is going to be so amazing. So obviously, one of these recipes you can leave out and you've got dinner for tomorrow night, right?
Yes, for sure.
And I always feel in a slow cooker, I just like to make it all and just have leftovers, you know, even, I'm sure people ask you that, but a tip, and maybe Jane can add, but if someone is just cooking for 2, I tell them to divide it in half like right now. But then they want to use a smaller slow cooker, right? You don't want to use the regular size slow cooker and only have half the product in there. I don't know. Do you guys say anything different? Anyone?
No, I say the same thing.
Yep. Okay, so now I'm gonna stick. But I mean, I always feel leftovers are just fine, but I mean, wow, someone could actually have 20 meals. How cool is that? As long as they have a small slow cooker. I don't know in the Instapot, Jane, how would that work if they were making half the recipe? You're the expert on that.
Well, I don't know if I'm an expert yet on this, on the Instant Pot, but I will tell you that you can adjust your time a little bit. For a smaller quantity, it might not cook as long, and the internet is your friend if you're cutting recipes in half as far as cook times, because there's like a million resources out on the internet that will give you the proper time for the proper amount of meat.
That's a good resource. Yeah, you can Google just about anything. I agree. Raise your hand, and like I said, I might be going fast, if you're done with recipe number 2. Sheila?
Just finished.
It's finished. Okay. Well then, how are you doing, Laura? I know you're on mute. Are you? Looks like you're making the meals.
Yes, I'm okay.
Okay. Well, we'll keep moving on. And you know what, you guys, when you are running a class like this, I think it's okay because let's face it, people are in their kitchens. They're gonna have interruptions. But the cool thing about doing this is it makes you do it. You know what I mean? It's like it makes you do it. So, okay, let's move on to peppery beef and noodles. So you've got a bag that you've labeled a gallon, peppery beef and noodles, and you have that 1.5 pounds of beef for stew in it. And I already did that because I bought, I think it was 3 pounds, so I had to divide it up. And then you're just gonna label, then you're gonna add 2 tablespoons of seasoned pepper. Does anybody use our seasoned pepper like all the time?
I do.
A fan?
On everything.
Yeah, it's nice because it's one of our. What was that, Angie?
Sauteing zucchini with it is amazing.
Well, you all know, because I know that those of you are all seasoned consultants that are on, but the cover is 2 tablespoons. So there's no reason to grab a tablespoon when you can just grab the cover, which I think is brilliant. So we're gonna dump that into our beef and kind of move it around so it's seasoned. And then we're gonna grab another gallon size freezer bag, it looks like. It could be a quart. Label gallon freezer bag, peppery beef and noodles. Step 3, add to bag. So is that separate from the meat, you guys? It must be. You must keep your yeah, you'd have to keep the mushrooms and the onion separate, don't you think?
Yes,
Yes.
definitely.
Thank you, or whoever said that. But I think I'm just gonna grab a quart size bag. Why not? Oh, these meals are gonna be so good. So what we're gonna have to do, you guys, is we're gonna have to share in our team page how good these meals are. Because I know they're gonna be amazing. So I actually bought regular mushrooms. I had to slice them. So the debate in our house is, do you wash your mushrooms or you just wipe the little stuff off? What do you guys do?
I watched them.
I wipe them.
You wipe them?
Well, dirt never hurt anybody.
That sounds like my. I was watching Rachel Ray, I don't know, I was watching something and maybe it was Google a little whatever, and they did like a little test or whatever. You know, the reason they say not to wash it is because the mushrooms absorb all the water. But whoever was doing it, they're like, it doesn't do that. But it's just a personal preference, I guess. I don't think there's any right or wrong way, but I was just curious what y'all did. I certainly like real fresh mushrooms, not the canned stuff. So don't forget to add your tablespoon of onion. Maybe I see why they have a gallon so you can mix it up a little better. So you're just gonna shake that around a little bit, and then, like what I said, oh, and you guys know the tip I'm getting as much air out of these bags as possible. You know, air is an enemy in the freezer, so try to get as much out as possible. And then I'm gonna grab again my little recipe, the peppery beef and noodles, and I'm just gonna double bake this. And I like to make sure mine are nice and flat. because, again, get as much air out as possible. It takes up less room in the freezer as well. And the other cool thing is, one time in the very beginning, I had my my future son-in-law, Ricky. I did a freezer meal workshop and I wanted the meals myself, but I didn't want to do it because I was facilitating. And I had him do it and he didn't really flatten things out as much, which is fine. But then when you try to thaw it out, it doesn't thaw out as fast. You know, you take it out the night before and put it in the fridge. So I always tell my people, not necessarily that story, but I tell them how important it is to make sure it's flat because these meals will thaw out a lot faster. Do any of you put your meals into the crock pot frozen?
I do. Yes.
Tell us more about that.
Well, if I don't want to be gone all day if I'm doing that. Well, either way, if they're thawed or frozen, I don't want to be gone all day because I want to keep an eye on it. But if it's frozen, I feel like you have to kind of stir it halfway through to break it apart.
Okay. I was just curious. Anybody else have any thoughts on putting the meal into your crock pot frozen? Jane, we're gonna bring you in again. I don't know if you're at your house yet. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's not recommended by the USDA, so we never tell people to do that. The recommended method is to thaw it out. But I will tell you that having said that, I know like 1,000 people who are not dead right now that do it all the time. So we'll never, you know, HQ will never recommend that because of the USDA, but yeah, I think that's another personal choice that you can make.
Great. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so we're on to the Tuscan chicken and bean soup, and you've got a bag that you're gonna put 1.5 pounds of the boneless, skinless chicken breast in that bag. So I have that here in front of me. And then I'm gonna add, looks like label a quart-size freezer bag, Tuscan chicken and bean step 1. So then you're gonna grab that, write it on there, and then you're gonna add all those follow-up. So all of that gets in a quart size, huh? Huh. Okay, let's do it. Chop up you're gonna add a tablespoon of vegetable oil. I would probably, Jane, I know you're on mute again, but I would prefer to do the avocado oil. I know we have vegetable oil on there because it's not in our kit.
Yeah, that's the only, we never require a product that isn't included in the kit, but we suggest it sometimes. So yeah, I would definitely do avocado or even roasted garlic infused oil.
Ooh, right. So that's a tip, you guys. You can, you know, mention it like Jane said. I use the avocado oil all the time. But I don't see it in here, so I am gonna, did you say roasted garlic infused oil, Jane? Sorry, back and forth here.
Yes, I did. Yep.
So I'm gonna add that, but whatever you have, go ahead and add. And then you can do 2 cups of sliced baby carrots. Remember, this is a soup. Your celery, your red pepper, and then onion, and seasoned pepper. So I'm gonna find my little, here we are. I don't know, I really feel like that should, is anybody doing it in the quart size? Can you fit all that in there? Sheila, have you already done it?
I'm done with it.
Did you do a quart size?
I did.
Okay, I'm doing it then. Why waste a bag? So Sheila, at your house, you feed 2 people. Are you making the whole thing up or are you gonna divide it?
That one I will make the whole thing up and then I'll have leftovers.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so the roasted oil. And don't forget about your onion. I will eyeball that, as I'm sure the rest of you did. And then your 1 to 2 teaspoons of seasoned pepper. If someone would ask you if the seasoned pepper is really spicy, what would you say?
Spicy?
I would
Anybody?
say
No.
it depends on
Peppery,
how much
yes.
you put on.
Yeah, I would say it's not spicy. I mean, how would you explain that one?
It's
Someone was
to me, it's peppery, but not spicy. So like you can
Right.
tell that it's black pepper. So I guess I didn't hear who was saying it, but yeah, it depends on how much you put on. If you like pepper and the taste of pepper, put more on, but it's gonna be have a little more of a bite, but not spice.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's what I use.
It totally makes sense, and I would agree with that. Okay, so then we're gonna grab another quart-size bag. You're gonna write on it like the directions tell you, and we're gonna add that awesome Mamma Mia. Does anybody love your diced? I'm glad that it says no salt added diced tomatoes. Anybody just a super duper fan of the Mamma Mia? If you are, will you speak up? Tell
I
me
use
how
it
you
all
use
the
it.
time.
Is that your
I
Sheila?
like it a lot.
Amy? So I
Yes.
want you to give us how you use it, like each of you give us one way you use it.
So how I sell a lot of it when I go to vendor shows is I tell them add a cap full of this to your canned spaghetti sauce like Prego or Ragu, and it will make your sauce taste like it's been simmering all day long, like a mom's homemade spaghetti sauce.
That is a great tip.
And
I agree.
that,
That's what I say too.
because I don't have time to simmer sauce all day long, but that seasoning makes my sauce taste like it's been simmering all day.
That's a great tip, Amy. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, who does have that? Not me. Okay, Amy, how about you, Sheila? Do you have anything you want to add about the Mamma Mia, why you love it?
So I typically buy the no salt tomato sauce and then add the Mamma Mia. Because if you ever look at a jar of spaghetti sauce, there's a lot of salt and a lot of sugar in them. So doing it the Mamma Mia way, you can control your salt and sugar intake.
That's a great idea. So what did you say you add? You buy no salt
Tomato sauce. Yeah.
Okay, yep. Well, and I let's be honest, it's probably a lot cheaper as well.
Right.
Cheaper and healthier. So yeah, good point. Anybody
I can't
else
wait
have?
for this one. It's going to be really, really good, I think.
I agree.
But I'm going to wait till
Anybody-
it's cooler outside.
Well, it's cool. I can eat soup anytime. What kind of beans do you think you're going to use? I went and bought like all the food because I'm going to make these up. Like, boom, boom, boom.
I did not buy the dried beans because I'm doing it in a slow cooker. So I bought just canned kidney and pinto.
Okay. Yeah. That'll be fun. So I got to share with you a fun little tip my mother-in-law shared with me, and I'm not doing it right now, but if you want to be super anal about getting all the air out of your bags, have you ever done the straw method?
No.
Oh, idea.
I used to bring this to my workshops. You just put a little straw in and you suck all the air out, but yeah, I'm not doing that. But anyway, if you like, I think she used to freeze a lot of stuff, and I mean, it's a great idea. Okay, so Tuscan chicken and bean soup. Then I'm gonna seal up my chicken. I've got my tomatoes, my vegetables all chopped up. And then, oops, I have my wonderful recipe that I'm gonna stick in there and double bake it. Any questions on that particular one?
No, but Sherry, can I share? This is Jane. Can I share my Mamma Mia tip?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, please do.
The thing that we do with Mamma Mia often is if you get one of those little tiny 8-ounce cans of tomato sauce,
Yep.
you put in like one scant tablespoon of Mamma Mia, and then you have like an instant dipping sauce. because we love to dip things in the Mamma Mia, like a grilled cheese or cheese sticks or, you know, meatballs, little weenies, whatever. And so then it's just kind of the perfect amount, and you don't have this whole great big pile of it.
That's a great tip. I love your measurement. That's hilarious. Okay, you guys. Realize we have 4 done. If you're chopping up your veggies, that's totally fine. But we're gonna move on to the warm oven chicken. Anybody made this one? Besides Jen. I have not made it. This one, you need a 1.5 pound boneless, skinless chicken breast. You're gonna cut it into 6 pieces. You're gonna have it in a bag. And you're gonna season that chicken with our seasoned pepper. So grab your seasoned pepper and you're gonna add 2 teaspoons of seasoned pepper, that's a half, to your bag. Set it up. I'm gonna kind of scoop it in there. Move my chicken around a little bit. Did anybody alter the recipe? Did you like do something different? I mean, I'm 100% the way it is, but remind me that wrong altering the recipe, right? You want your family to enjoy it, and you know, back on that mushroom one, if you don't like mushrooms, well then don't make mushrooms with it. Sometimes people have to have permission. That's the dumbest thing. Okay, so I've seasoned my chicken with the seasoned pepper. Now, have you had your cream cheese softened? Does everybody have their softened? Because then you just add the warm the oven to that. You guys remember this from the season past? Warm the oven? Yeah, Andrew's thumbs up. I'm gonna mix it. Do you have any tips on mixing this, Ms. Sheila?
Well, to be honest with you, I just took my package of cream cheese and put the warm the oven dry packet in a quart size bag and put that in the freezer. And then when I make it, I'll mix it together in the microwave, because cream cheese mixes so much easier when it's softened in the microwave.
Right.
But I don't want to freeze it again after I do that. So I just put the package of cream cheese with the package of warm the oven in a quart size bag.
You know what? I have to say, I love that idea, because you're right. I do the same thing. So I've got mine already in this container, but it's not softened entirely. And it sounds like, so I'm just going to take my little ladle, or I'm going to stick it. I wouldn't even have to take it out of the.
No, I don't even take it out of the foil.
Yeah, I wish I would have thought of that. But anyway, I'm going to stick it in here, and then I'm just going to have the bag. I'm probably going to write one there. And then, yeah, I'll mix it when it's ready. I think that's a great point. And I think that's what's cool about our recipes too, is like you can alter them just a little bit, and it'll still be great. I'm going to take that Sharpie. I'll do that later. I'll know what it is. Anyway, then I'm going to put my recipe and I'm going to double bake it. And we 5 recipes done. Anybody else have that? Raise your hand if you have them all done. Sheila does. Do you, Twyla? Yep. And you're probably done ahead of the rest of the game because you did do some prep. So that is fantastic. Does anybody, so you guys, that took 40 minutes.
That's awesome.
And I don't know what you're thinking, but I'm feeling pretty good about this. What questions do you have or comments?
I have a question, Sherry, for you guys that have done a lot. What kind of timeline do you use? Do you like set up a Facebook party and then get orders like 3 weeks out? And then what do you usually?
So Angie, you're a part of the Facebook group that I created, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the format I'm going to use. You know, you would just have the link on there I'm gonna just change this a second here. You would have the link on there to order. I would do the same exact thing. Have the link on there to order, and then you'd have to have the deadline. That's what I've always done. And then they're just gonna refer to that Facebook page all the time.
The deadline of like 2 weeks before you do it? Is that too
The
long?
deadline?
Yeah, to have the orders in.
I would probably pick 2 weeks because then you always have to extend it a little. That's the biggest hassle. Anybody else have another tip on that? That's what I plan on doing. I'm going to roll it out to my local client or just clients in general because I haven't done a freezer meal workshop for a while, but I have a lot of people that want to do it. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, Angie. I'm going to use the format that I use with you guys. And I will have, I mean, I might even do a mystery host. I don't know. Sometimes I do that. And actually, I do that all the time. A mystery host freezer meal workshop, then someone will get the host rewards. And if it's not to 500, Angie, then whoever's name I pull, then I encourage them to get some more outside orders. And then they're super excited to get the free loot. But anyway, you just pick a deadline and the link would be on there and boom, they, you know, maybe they'll add things to their order as well. And obviously they'll have it shipped to their house because they're going to be doing it there. And then everything is right on there. And then you just have to remind them. Just like
Hey,
I do.
Sherry.
Yeah.
This is Jane. I have a question for you. Do you do you do anything to encourage a second purchase at the time of the workshop?
Well, I mean, in the olden days, sure, when I was doing them in person, I would sample a couple things and showcase
Yeah,
some.
that's my question is if I'm just curious if anybody has found a way to translate that into an online or Zoom freezer meal workshop. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot because so far I haven't found anybody that's doing that. So I'm just looking for good ideas on ways to get those purchases up in the same way that you guys would be able to do in person.
Yeah, well, it seems like it'd be really simple. You know, you just got to get it like 50 people invited because not all 50 people, just like an online Facebook party. Say I have 50 people that are part of that online Facebook party. They're not all gonna order, not all gonna participate. So you're just gonna start that online freezer meal mystery host party or whatever. And then I would want to do it with the host, you know, plenty of time. And then I would think, Jane, you would just promote upselling on that event. You know, you would feature a couple things, maybe desserts. You would feature desserts because what did we get one dessert with this? So that's how I would approach it. I don't know what others are thinking.
Okay. Yep, that's a great idea.
And then just talk about
Oh,
booking because you're going to want to get another booking for somebody else to do one. Right?
Absolutely.
Instead of, I mean, you're going to upsell desserts, but they've already purchased from this party. So, you know, I would imagine if they do this and whoever likes it, wouldn't they want to book one next month? Who wouldn't want to?
Right. Exactly.
So just talk up your bookings. Who wants to host the next one, you know? Get all excited about that.
I love it, Desiree. Yeah, because they'll get half price items, you know, just like an online party. So you could do your little commercial. I would just do it all on the online portion of it. Talk about fundraisers. If you book a fundraiser, that's a booking. I mean, you could do your little commercial at the end here as well. But yeah, it's just online. And then the people that have to hop off because they got other obligations. I mean, honestly, I'd like to get it done in 30 minutes. I don't know. That probably is too long. I would probably say 45 because I don't know. What are your thoughts? I do like them to come without having to do any prep. You guys have thoughts on that?
I think that I would have them chop their veggies ahead of time because I didn't, and I felt like that's all I did, and I'm kind of overwhelmed right now because I've never done this before. And
Okay.
I just chopped carrots while you talked. That's all I did.
You know what? Yeah, and that's a good point, Desiree, because that's what I did. I cut up, you know, I looked at the recipes and I cut up the veggies, and it really doesn't take that much time. I mean, they could do that when they get home from work. And if they don't have time, it's okay. They're still doing it, and then they would just finish it up when we're all done. So I think that's
a good point.
yeah, we could just share, you could share on your Facebook event and say, hey, to save time, you know, when you get home from work or the night before, go ahead and chop up this, this, and this. And then it's just sitting in the fridge and then it goes faster. So
And I
good
like how
point.
you said if they don't chop the veggies ahead of time, just focus on, you know, getting the meat and the seasonings in the bag and add the carrots at the end or whatever. That's a good thing to say. Yeah.
Right, because you want to keep them moving. And, you know, the value in this, you guys, is people want to do this stuff. I think if you talk to 10 people, 20 people, and if you could say, if I could help you have 10 meals in your freezer, would you do it? They'd all raise their hand. I guarantee they would. Who doesn't want a personal chef? But we can't all afford that. So then it's just getting them to commit, and then they buy it, and then it's getting them to show up or getting them to get the groceries. So that's where your host is going to be helpful, as well as reminders. So, Mark does really well at Facebook parties, and one of the things he does is he tags people. So you'd want to be the tagger and this kind of stuff too, and you're just reminding people, you're helping them. So other comments or questions, or Jane, if you want to ask anything?
Has anybody had, is there a certain time that seems to work well, like an evening or a Saturday morning?
Angie, I always did mine, I think I always did mine in the evening, like at 6:30, when I did workshops, in-person workshops. But I think you could also do it on a Saturday morning. You know, in the summer around here, I wouldn't do a weekend because everybody's gone. But in the middle of the winter, you know, I kind of like doing Monday nights, Angie, because people can shop over the weekend.
Oh, great idea.
And then, you know, then they can prep for the week. But I didn't think this was too much to get. Like I said, I bought everything, which that was kind of dumb. I don't know why I did that. But I'm just going to make, this is what we're having the next 5 days. So there you go.
I think it helps.
Sherry, this is Jane. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I really like 5 meals because it's just so manageable. And so I love that you did 5 meals tonight, and look how fast it got done.
You know, it really did, Jane. And now I think people have confidence to go, oh, heck, I can do this. You know, I don't need someone telling me what to do, or, you know, I'm going to hold on to it, and next weekend I'm going to make it. Or, you know, and what I'm going to do is have some talking points, which honestly, I just didn't get a chance to get together. But I would do little commercials, kind of like when I was talking about the product, but I would say, you know, who do you know? Someone that's having a baby, or someone that's having knee surgery. I mean, these next 5 meals you could make up and give to them, or gosh, you could send them, you know, a 10-meal kit, or you could make it up for them. So I would certainly, you know, do some commercials like that, Jane. I just didn't have time to get everything all together.
No, that's fine. This is great. Sometimes, you know, Sherry, when we wait until everything is perfect, then we never get it done. So this is wonderful conversation.
Well, when you're talking about upselling at the end, you know, when you're trying to get a second purchase, that's something you could talk about too, is who do you know that would love what we just did, and then maybe they'd buy a gift for someone, you know, too.
Right.
What I was behind the thing. I ordered my groceries online, and I had them all in the package size that I needed, so I didn't have to measure anything out. And now, after knowing that I had to have, you know, some chopped carrots, I probably looked for just the ones that were sliced already and throw them in. So, I mean, if they're going for the online ordering anyway, they can also customize some of that stuff. So if they are in a hurry or don't have time to get that stuff done, just order it that way. That works pretty slick, because every one of my meat quantities, all I had to do is pop the package open and dump it in.
Laura, that's fantastic. You know, with everybody shopping online, that's not out of line anymore, you guys. And even I know Andrea, when she would do them, there's a meat market in Fergus, and you know, you can just, I don't know, Laura, if you can call ahead, but they would have it all ready for you. So Laura, that's a perfect point. And people want to eat healthy. and obviously are eating at home. So you guys, we have an amazing service to offer. I really think this is going to explode. And let's help each other offer this to our clients. And I'll get some chatter going on the team page. But if you're sleeping tonight or you wake up in the morning and go, oh, dang it, we should have done this, you know, please share, because there's no right or wrong way. But I really believe this is going to be very helpful for each one, not only feeding your own families, of course, but just to make extra money doing freezer meal workshops.
Well, and why don't we just start, because you know, there might be some of us who haven't done this before. But start just by asking somebody who's your friend, or you know, a close family, I don't know, sister-in-law or somebody, so that when you goof up the first time, it doesn't feel so embarrassing. And then see if somebody will book off from that party, you know, because the first time I do this, I'm going to be a mess. But like, I'm thinking of asking the girl who did the very first party that I ever did 4 years ago to do this, because I know she's interested, or she was interested at one point in getting a meal kit and hasn't yet. But then I know, you know, then I know the first time I do it, if I say something silly, she's just going to laugh and it's going to be funny.
Hey, Desiree, go ahead.
I did that when I started. Actually, it was myself and Amy Rollinger and one other consultant. And we each had one of the kits, or the same kit, but we did it in my husband's ag shop because we were trying to find a centrally located place. And we just practiced and went through one entire set. Now there's times where I'll take a look at the recipes, and I split generally every recipe I do, and because there's only 2 of us at home, and that's what I preach to a lot of people. You can get 20 meals out of a 10-meal kit, and then we use our smaller crock pot, but I can feed my kids with that. So I give them one set and I take the other set. Well, my kids are robbing my freezer of both sets. But, you know, it works really nice. And then I also have done freezer meal workshops where I did one on like Saturday morning, say 9 or 10 o'clock. And then I turned around and did another one at 1 o'clock. That way you've got, you know, if you're going to be home on Saturday anyway, and now you don't have to worry, because if there's a blizzard, who cares? You can still do it. I was worried about weather, and we did have some issues with weather, but this takes that all out of it. So if they've got their groceries, you're good to go. And I just got notified one of my vendor events that I have in October got canceled because of COVID, which, I mean, that was fine. I wasn't comfortable going with it, but now I can do freezer meal workshops, and I crap it, you know, hour and a half apart. You can do several if you've got people that's what it works for their time period. But, you know, just doing them the first time through helps, because you know now, okay, you need those carrots chopped, you need that celery chopped. So then you can put that in there, you know, 1 cup of chopped carrots, 1 cup of chopped celery. And then if they choose to buy it that way at the store, they can. And if they don't, then they do their own thing. But yeah, it is way easier to do a freezer meal workshop and work through all of the questions if you just do it yourself first. And then that practice seals the deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I wanted
if
to
you,
add
if
one
you,
thing sorry, Amy. I just
That's
wanted
okay.
to add something for Desiree. You know, she's saying that she's feeling nervous about it. I don't think there's any reason why you can't just be the instructor too and not make them yourself. In fact, if you're doing multiples, of course, you're not going to be making them every time. You know what I mean? So you can just be the instructor, and that takes a whole lot of stress off of you.
Yeah,
That's true.
that is so true. And you know, Sheila, I'm glad you brought that up. Today with you, I made these meals because I wanted to see what it was like, and I haven't had a chance to make them, but I've never made the meals at a freezer meal workshop. I'm always there telling them what to do. Well, heck, I didn't even tell them what to do.
Me too.
I have done done them together. And we used to offer, like, you can pick whichever one you want, and you got people doing different things. But I'm going to go back to this where I tell them what to do, Sheila. But I think it's a great point. I'm not going to be making freezer meals.
Oh, you're not going to do it every time.
No, and I love Laura's idea.
What would you do with all those meals?
Yeah, well, but look at Laura, how brilliant. Stack your day, guys. You know, do 2 in a day if you can. Sheila, heck, you used to do 2 parties in a day, and look what you did.
Right.
You know, tasting.
Right.
Andrea, what did you add?
Oh, I just was gonna say, I don't even remember now. It's not that big of a deal.
Hey, Sherry.
I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
I'm going to just jump in here because I need to jump off. I got another gig here coming up at 8, but thank you all so very much for letting me crash your party tonight. It was awesome.
Thanks, Jane.
Bye-bye.
That was so fun. She messaged me today at 3 o'clock and said, hey, can I crash your freezer meal? Like, sure, I'm not ready for it yet, but yeah, as long as you know it's not going to be polished. But, you know, like to Desiree's point and Sheila's and Laura's point, it's like, it's kind of like your first tasting party or your first event. It's like, you just got to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
You just got to do it. Anything else, you guys, that you would recommend? Now, Angie, you just watched. Anybody else have any tips?
I would recommend, I saw them in the store and I thought about it. They have the 2-gallon size freezer bags. So when you're throwing everything into one bag, tonight I had to kind of shove some of them in. So the bags that you're storing, it might be more helpful to have by the 2-gallon size for all of the bags.
Good idea. I kind of forgot that they had that. Yep. Now, for those of you, thank you, Michelle, for that. Do you guys buy the Ziploc or do you buy the generic? And do you think there's a difference? Because there's definitely a price difference. Any comments on that?
Yes,
I had someone bring the zipper ones once, and we had liquid all over. So I'll put our zippers together for them because the zipper kind didn't work. We had to do the Ziploc instead of the slider.
Right, but I mean, that's a good point. I was referring to like the brand Ziploc or the generic freezer. I mean, I honestly usually buy the generic one.
I always tell them to.
What's that?
If you're just going to do single bag, you would have to do Ziploc. But if you double bag them, you could do the cheaper brand.
Okay. I was just curious.
I only do the real brand.
I only buy the Ziploc brand too.
The real brand. I've cleaned up too many messes, and I'm like, no, never again.
You can tell too when you're using Ziploc, it's got a thicker plastic feel than the generic brand.
Yeah.
And make sure you're using freezer bags and not just storage bags.
Yep. Right. Good point.
Okay. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I am super excited about this. I do feel that maybe one of us on one of our Monday night calls needs to do a little how to use your Instapot. You know, using one of our meals. I don't know, just I'll throw that out there and see. I'm still just not very comfortable with mine.
I have a video that I did, I think it's on our team page, that I did with doing some barbecued ribs using some Tastefully Simple with Amy was over here and I think Teresa was over here. And she recorded it while I was doing it.
Laura, I remember that. I need to watch that. Is it, so it's in our files under videos on the Dream Achievers page?
I think it might be on the Team Soleil page, but I can see if it's there, and if so, I could probably copy it and move it over there.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Thank you, Laura. That'd be great. So raise your hand.
I'm going to sign off. Thank you.
Thanks, Sheila. Well, you guys,
Okay.
I think this is fantastic. I appreciate it. Oh, go ahead. Oh, I thought someone wanted to say anything. Say something. Well, I'm going to stop the recording. Yes. And if anybody has any other comments, go ahead and share.